Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Thursday, September 19th, 2024. I hope that you're having a great day so far. Doing better than I am at cutting these cards. Oh, man. It's a lovely, lovely day in my neighborhood. Just warm enough, beautiful breeze. I'm actually at the table before it's dark, which does have an impact on the energy. Sometimes reading at night is just it's different vibes. Most definitely, especially late night. But I like to read with the birds chirping and the trees rustling from a light breeze and the sun still shining and so on and so forth. Life still going. I guess not that there isn't life at night, but it's a different type of life, which is why they call it the nightlife, not to be confused with the day life. Man, I'm rambling. No, I'm really not. I never really am, but I am kind of low-key cracking myself up right now. But in any event, it is a beautiful day. I hope the same for you, no matter what the weather. And don't forget, just maybe like 2 days left to jump in on the summer soul sale before we hit that fall equinox, and all bets are off. So if you want to take advantage of any of those opportunities, see the information in the description box below for the details. All right, without further ado, let's see what we got. The Two of Wands. It's funny because yesterday we started with the Three of Wands, and then I talked up the Two of Wands till it actually came out 2 cards later. Now we're starting with another two. So let's just get right into it and see. Oh wow, the High Priestess. Let's see. This is definitely, first off the top, I'm getting something about trusting your intuition and letting your intuition guide your actions, and your choices. Yep, because you've earned the right to. With this Eight of Pentacles, there's been a significant, you've earned the right, and you have learned the value of your intuitive guidance, and you've learned the value of your intuitive nature through experience and practice. That's the Eight of Pentacles here. It's not like the reason why you, if you relate to this, may have the green light and the go-ahead to trust your intuition is because of your high level of experience and skill in it. So it's not just like, oh yeah, just, hell, you could just jump out the window and do whatever you feel, but it's deeper than that. It's deeper than just acting or reacting on impulse. This is a skill set, a quality, is it a quality? What is it? It's like it's what is the word for when you have not qualifications, because I'm thinking on from the perspective of like a job, like when you have the when you're not when you're qualified, but when you are, damn, it's a word that is like right at the tip of my mind. I can't find it. But anyway, the point is that it's like, oh, not a whole, was that a whole little spider tried to, where the heck did that even come from? And I didn't kill his ass, so I hope he don't come back. I don't want to disrupt my entire table to get him. Oh, Lord. Anyway, sorry for that minor interruption. But it's something about being well equipped to handle, let's say, the position of a high priestess. Let's just say this could be masculine or feminine, but someone that is that has like spiritual instincts, that has like a deep knowing that transcends their carnal capabilities, let's say, or I would say complements it. Let's say that complements their carnal capabilities. So it's not just about the qualifications of doing a task or even a craft, or doing something in operation or in a physical sense. It's something about that also being deeply weighted and grounded in a knowing, like a deep inner knowing, insight, let's say, and also foresight. But I usually kind of use that with the Queen of Swords. This is a little bit more mystical than that. Like this is someone, honestly put, it could even just be someone that uses their spiritual instincts for practical matters, or even to task on in a practical operation, like somebody that might use their intuition or even their psychic capabilities per se in a practical function of a job, not in a dark sense, just in a more unconventional sense, and it's unconventional because not everyone is open to that possibility within themselves being activated and initiated, and therefore is not always open to others being so. But there can also be a resistance to it on account of disbelief in such things, which is what closes people off as well to experiencing it for themselves or being open to that experience outside of themselves. And for those that actually are activated in that sense, it's usually not something that is broadcasted or publicized or even really talked about for all reasons said before. Like there's something a bit more taboo and like mystical and even mysterious about it, that can either rub people the wrong way or the right way. You know what I mean? And you can never quite tell what that's going to be. You certainly can't control what that's going to be upon contact, which is why so many people that would and could operate in the function of their spiritual nature, even on their practical professions, keep it secretive, as a high priestess also represents, like kind of keeping things to yourself, securing, perhaps maybe even securing that identity of yourself for protection purposes. But there's something about this that it could still be the balance here with the Two of Pentacles of deciding what is to be revealed and unveiled of all that I kind of just said, and what is to be shared and exposed, maybe even publicized, or maybe there is, hell yeah, with the Six of Wands, actually, there could be an aspect of someone operating in that frequency that doesn't have the luxury to be concealed or hidden anymore. I don't know exactly how that gets to be, but with whatever it is, I started this by saying to trust your intuition, lean into it, because it's putting you on the trajectory of success. So you've already cultivated a trustworthiness with your intuitive qualifications, or your traits. I don't know why I'm just not finding this word that I'm looking for, because you have had great practice, and you have put it to use, perhaps even behind closed doors, in ways that really only affected you, or in the ways that you felt guided to on a personal level. And you have the evidence. Pentacle energy is evidence, and we got the 8 and the 2, which is the 10. There's a complete let's say portfolio, or even a resume of experience that someone has in spiritual work, like, to put it real plain. And it's tried and true, it's tested and approved. Someone has seen how their practice materializes in a very positive and prosperous way. And the only thing left, it seems, with the Two of Wands is to take the stance and the position to lead with it. Just like that. The value's already there, not just with the 8 and the 2 being the 10. If you were wondering, if you were questionable about how, secured and stable your sensibilities are, your craft is, your channel is, like your channeling is, your telepathy, your visions, your messages, your dreams, like your instincts, your knowing, your foresight, your insight, your prophecies. It's like a range of all of those things. Your interpretation of scripture or spiritual text, your spiritual practices, your rituals, your beliefs, your morals, your ethics, your standards, your integrity, all of that, is so solid at this point. It's like someone being on, if it were in terms of job placement, to put it in that regard, this is someone that has the skill set of an executive or more, like executive, at least, like some leadership in a company or in an industry, but certainly not limited from it being like CEO status itself, So let that be affirming for anyone that was still a little bit unsure of their own qualifications. their own their own you know, readiness. Like, it could be the difference between somebody thinking that they are entry level or middle management qualified when you might be on a consultant level, is what I'm actually pulling from as well too. That somebody, it's given more, like I can literally, this is very specific, but see someone activated in the frequency of a consultant in a spiritual sense to a more established and practical corporations or businesses, you know, or even to leaders within a company. It's something about the perspective of spirituality that has been missing on a corporate level and is the missing ingredient to help a lot of established companies transition into whatever this evolution of new world gets to be. And there really won't be, like, a lot of companies won't survive on account of missing that ingredient, missing that special counsel or consultation, or like coaching or consulting, to help to transform the focus from profit to prosperity, which we know is far more expansive and expounded than just creating products for as little as possible to make as much as possible, and even how you expend your resources, particularly people, to get that done. Some companies that are wise to incorporate spiritual and a more spiritual influence, or take a perspective from a more spiritual of a more spiritual nature, are the ones that are going to survive and even thrive across the threshold. The ones that continue to submit to those old world concepts are ultimately going to exhaust themselves out of business, because this inflation thing is not going to fly too much longer. And shrinkflation, where companies just continue to decrease their offerings and raise the prices, that's highway robbery. There has to be some other method that is taken internally to balance those expenses and expenditures in a way that is fair overall. Maybe some CEOs need to take a cut, you know what I mean? Or there needs to be some way to balance this that's going to create balance and harmony, or eventually people, it literally will backfire in a way that people will just stop buying. And then if you refuse to change your perspective, professionally, creatively, and spiritually, you ultimately won't have one. You know, you'll be forced out into obscurity for some other company that is evolved in all of those ways to kind of take that place, you know. So nobody's position is secured, especially in terms of the pillar of business right now, because it's been one of the most diabolical pillars. All of them have been, really, when you think about business, entertainment, education, religion, and no matter what, I always forget one. Business, politics or government. So I actually, with all those being said, I can't say that it's the most diabolical, but it's intertwined. It's in bed with all the same, you know, corruptions that the other 5 are guilty of. So there has to be a change. Anyway, so that pretty much leaves an opening for a very high level position where either if you are in said companies, particularly in leadership at a higher level, for your own sustainability, if you want to remain employed and have, you know, that sense of security, it kind of is like there kind of is a bit of a charge on those that have the ability and, again, the qualifications to do so, to activate that that side of themselves and invest it into whatever the company is or brand. You know, that means coming out of your shell a little bit. And it doesn't necessarily mean like going to the board meeting and talking about, you know, love and light per se, but it definitely, you know, I can't even say, because it would be your own brand of magic, but it may be the thing that you have kind of like held back or been a bit more reluctant to share, even in your like foresight of where the company is going. Like, it could be very practical consultation, but something that you see that others may not be privy to, but because you wouldn't want to like step on anybody's toes or overstep your bounds or make somebody feel weird, or even the fear of being rejected altogether, you wouldn't share it. Well, if you feel the nudge, the invitation is there. And it's, of course, is not limited to something so basic, you know, so primitive. It could be something much more deep that would completely flush you out of your comfort zone and maybe have you speaking directly of visions and dreams or prophecies that you have experienced for leaders in the company, a CEO, or like you would have to get creative on how that gets to be expressed. But there's something here about breaking that wall, you know, like breaking that barrier between you know, the spiritual world and the practical world, and your leadership and, well, your position to pioneer that charge. So it's one thing to have it on the inside out. It's another thing to be kind of an outside in or a bird's eye view, almost as a consultant to companies as there's opportunity to be so, on how to pretty much cleanse their business practices, you know, to infuse more integrity for the purposes of sustainability and even longevity. And if you are skilled enough and have the platform, the opportunity, the ear, you know, on the stage to communicate that, all you can do is speak as you feel guided, or operate as you feel guided. And if they take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't. You know, your job is done. You know, emphasis on it being an occupation, though, of which there should be an expectation for an exchange. So don't be out here thinking that just because you're operating in a spiritual capacity that you don't deserve to get compensated well, you know, because you're bringing a skill and an expertise to the market that is not conventional. And first of all, because there are not a lot of people that are willing to do the work, there are not a lot of places that are open to receiving it, and there are companies, especially some of the most even heinously successful ones, that are willing to entertain dark spiritual practices for advancement. But this influence of light is something that's new. It's new, and because it's new, you may have a unique opportunity to kind of mold it and shape it to how you would like to create it before it becomes something that, you know, as things happen at times, gets like a concept that's apprehended and reshaped, you know, to fit within the marketplace in a way that is just more internally beneficial and opportunistic than it actually is progressive, especially to the good of all, you know. And that could look like, you know, like I feel like once upon a time, the concept of human resources, which my mom, she actually worked in what was called personnel before it was called human resources, but it was the same function or whatever, like really just dealing with people practices. It was more, even more, then it was far more like technical, like literally making sure people got paid, got their benefits. If they had any questions, they had someone to speak with, keeping record of vacation times allotted and so on and so forth. It was a bit more technical, but still personal as well. There was a personal aspect to it to help problem solve and diffuse situations. That evolved more on the back end because there was an observed need for there to be like what do you call it, like a resource for such outlets, you know, or a resource for, I don't know how to say it, like for that void, you know, to fill that void, I suppose. Whereas before, I guess each manager more or less like just dealt with their issues on their own accord. Now a manager even has a resource that they can refer to, and it more or less creates like a resource that's also less biased, that should be more neutral for the best of the company and also for the best of the employee. Now, fast forward, I've worked in human resources, recruiting, retention for two different companies, McDonald's Corporation and AOL. And you know, what I was getting to is that I feel like that's how the department probably kind of started, where the need for it began to form before there was a solution applied. Before that, even consider back, you know, during the industrial period, before even there were unions, to kind of address that same void in a sense between the corporation and the establishment and the workers. There was that, you know, connection, and that was also from the inside out. But what I'm trying to get to is that I feel like the need is glaring, you know, and right now we're at a special time where it probably could be just that the precipice of how all those others, how those other solutions evolved and were created to be, and which are now a staple: unions, personnel, human resources, human relations, however it is. That's a staple within an organization now that you almost don't even remember how you did without it. You know what I mean? Especially on a large scale, big companies. Well, anyway, there's a need on a smaller scale and on a greater scale, and perhaps that's where the flux, you know, the great opportunity gets to, you know, is more or less endless, because maybe you cater more to a small business or a startup or someone that, you know, is on a smaller scale, but still needs the spiritual influence and the counseling, you know what I mean, or the consulting to just make sure their practices are intact and in alignment. But then there's also the range of everything in between from there to the greatest of corporations now that are not immune to being lost in the shuffle if they don't evolve their practices with this shift. And those are actually the ones that have the greatest to lose, the most to lose and the most to gain at the same time, because they serve a great deal of the population, which would create a void if they weren't able to anymore. But they also, in some ways, make a deep impact for in a less favorable way on account of what needs to be reformed, you know. And hear me, like when I'm talking about, I know I'm going on this, but I feel like this could be triggering something good for somebody to, you know, maybe considering you may be able to pave your own career path in a way that you never would have dreamed was even possible before, literally by creating of yourself a consultant in a particular craft that hasn't even been created yet, you know what I mean, or hasn't even been founded truly, certainly not from the inside out so much. But you could be contracted as your, you know, and still remain in autonomy as your own entity and your own brand and still be just as effective as well. So literally there's endless possibilities here, just on account of positioning yourself to be allowing, you know, believing in the qualifications that you already possess to fill a position such as that, maybe even to create a position for yourself such as that, and then, you know, marketing yourself according to that confidence. Right here with the King of Pentacles, like this is like Wall Street, you know, energy right here with the King of Pentacles, entrepreneur, you know, like knowing that you got the goods. That's the type of confidence that you get to present yourself in, you know, like investment banker type of energy, because what you have to offer is invaluable, you know, especially in terms of foresight and insight, and maybe even something more like with somebody such as a high priestess. You never know what awakens in your energy when you come into connection with other people. You could literally, depending on who you are, just have conversation with someone and be compelled to share a word of knowledge with them as if you've known them for years, and it be absolutely everything that they needed to hear in that moment. And then you're gone, you disappear, you never see that person again, but their life could be changed forever from that point, you know? So it could be that deep or not, you know, it could literally be that deep. But what I'm saying is there's a great range of possibility there, and in a sense, in a way of something that isn't very conventional. And there's so much opportunity to make it conventional right now if you have the skill sets. And I ain't talking about faking it and you know, promoting yourself as some seer or prophetess or spiritualist or reader or energy worker or light worker or anything of the sort. I'm talking about really tapping into what you have naturally that aligns with that frequency, and then offering it as a service, you know, packaging it as a commodity. In that sense, it's not, some people even might, you know, fall back from that because they feel like, you know, you're kind of being blasphemous, like selling your gifts or anything like that. I'm not speaking about those that are out trying to get rich quick off of their spiritual gifts. I'm talking about those that see an opportunity and an opening in the market that truly is going to benefit off of what you have to offer. Just as someone on the street could benefit from the word that changed their life, your bird's eye view of the necessity for a shift in a practical sense and a spiritual sense, and how those two align is very is like, it's invaluable. It would even be hard to put a price on that. You would be helping save someone's business, redirect it, and also helping that company serve its employees and whomever their customer is more efficiently and in integrity. So hell yeah, you deserved it. And this came up earlier this week. I forget what message it was about, kind of releasing this idea of selflessness with no expectation of return. There are different levels of that where it makes sense in one regard and where it's senseless in another. And when we're talking about the cross-pollination and collaboration between the spiritual and the practical and natural world, that's not the place to be going in the spaces telling all the giving up all the tapes and the secrets and the best bets and the visions and prophecies and projections that your spirit can conjure, and calling it all, just the good work, good work of the Lord. You know what I mean? Like, that would be foolish. I'm gonna tell you, you will be balancing two pentacles if that's your mindset about it, and that's more a reflection of unworthiness than it is of being, of benevolence. There's a place for that where you can give of yourself for goodness sake, and that's called charity. This is spiritual work. This is something different. And there is, like I said, it's going to happen with or without you. So for those that actually have the skill sets to fill those positions or to position themselves to be available for that work, you might as well get in while the getting is good and start to mold it and configure it to be something that is suitable for you and that fits your lifestyle, before it becomes a constructed position where they're going to tell you what you can do for them. Then it won't be consulting anymore. You'll be just another employee like everybody else, even though I feel like there's less space to control a position such as that in this regard. But stranger things have happened. Like I said, unions are now kind of under control of the establishment. Human resources, what I didn't say is that it's evolved a great deal from being more about a service to the people and the employee to being like the middleman, to do kind of like the dirty work for the company. And whereas you would think human resource, and I experienced this as an employee when I was working for Zara, and I had my own experience of the efficiency of that department and what it should look to do, so I know the difference between serving and how you should be served. And when I experienced it at Zara, it was the human resources manager at that time was primarily about achieving the company's objective, even if it was especially sometimes as a casualty to the employee. There wasn't really a great deal of sensitivity that I experienced for bridging the gap between the two and doing the best overall. That she was far more more weighted on the side of the company instead of being more of a champion for the employee and be the mouthpiece to try to configure a resolution or a balance in ways that sometimes she had absolutely no control, but in some ways she took liberties to still weigh heavier on that and tip the scale on the other way, where she absolutely had more control to infuse a change and make a difference. So all that to say is that it can evolve based on how it's consumed. So if it's a premier opportunity or the dawn of a new industry, with even within an industry or adjacent to industry in general or corporations in general, now would be a great time to get in. It would be a good time to get in. Yeah, because you can set the price now. You can establish the standard, even if it's just for yourself. You ain't gotta worry about what nobody else is doing, but you decide what your expertise, your skill sets, the value that you have to offer is worth before someone else can or even will be able to, because at this point it's so fresh that nobody's even going to know what they should be paying you. There's nothing to compare it to. It's too unique of a commodity to really even put a value on, quite honestly, which is why you would get to literally set that for yourself. And by the time it catches up, it's something that could catch fire in a way where it's like it becomes popular. Yeah, Six of Wands, that we have a spiritual consultant that comes in, and that could range from literally looking over a company's practices and really offering your best suggestion and best bet on how they can cleanse diabolical energy, whether it's unfairness, poor practices, imbalance, corruption, whatever it is. And it could get deep, or it could just be more of a surface recommendation, again, depending on how much you want to get your hands dirty. And then it could even be something where you specifically come in and service the energy, like you serve the energy of the people, the employee, the energies of the energy of the employees to help raise morale, sort of kind of like what human resources used to do, especially when I first got into it. I literally was a recruitment and retention specialist, and that was one of my responsibilities, was to help to implement programs and roll out initiatives that would help to raise the morale of the employees, particularly even at a restaurant level, because I, at that time, governed between Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware stores. At one time, it was over 100 stores, just on the corporation side, not the franchise side, but particularly the corporation. I worked on, a larger human resources team, but that was one of my objectives and responsibilities, was to directly work with the stores, the management teams, and how I could help infuse even their morale from the top down to raise the frequency. Pretty much, I didn't know I was doing this back then, but I know now, to raise the frequency and the energy of the energetic investment into the day-to-day efficiency of the restaurant, which all in all does what? Affects the bottom line of the establishment. So that was when companies were realizing that people were the real investment. If you invested in their well-being and their security and comfort, then you might have an opportunity to gain more longevity and loyalty to the business, less turnover, and, just more of a pride and an effort in your day-to-day task, so that was one of the many things that I was tasked to do. But like I said, I know what it's like to serve, and I know what it's like to be served or be underserved. And so on a spiritual level, having now a bird's eye view, like literally having ascended from being consumed by a corporation and a corporate mindset, I can see where there are opportunities for reform and advancement overall, and from an angle that, you know, most leaders are not really zeroed in on. They don't even have the time in some ways to focus on such an obscure concept, you know. So again, this is where you can slide on in, you know. I don't know, I did a lot of talking, but somebody might be thinking about what their next career move is, and I just gave you some ideas. Well, let's see what we got here. I'm good with taking all three of these, cause yeah, gotta get on out of here now. Yeah, but like I said, even that has changed. And then 2008 came and I got laid off, and you know, when the economy crashed, and then they pretty much felt like, you know, jobs like mine, and you know, that's when tough decisions were made. It became an expendable expense to have someone that was more in touch, like really being the bridge and the gap between the people and the establishment, the employee and the establishment. So that whole level of leadership was wiped out in every department, in marketing, and you know, in operations. There was just a whole level of folks that were kind of really the link between those two huge populations, or I should say prominent populations, because you got your leadership, but you also got your employee, and you can't have one without the other, not for an operation such as a McDonald's, you know. So when 2008 hit, and it was, you know, recession, crisis, and all that, those were of the first positions to go. And you know, I'm grateful for it now, because I moved on, and I probably wouldn't have moved to New York as surely as I eventually did if I was still working in that position, which was sweet because I had hella benefits, and I moved all around freely, and you know, it was a beautiful first position straight out of college. You know, couldn't have asked for a better job. But you know, like what I'm saying is that eventually became what do you call it, like disposable, you know, which is ultimately, I think, what led us back into that diabolical conditions, the diabolical conditions of the workplace that persisted after that point, where it began to regress from being employee driven and sensitive to back to, first of all, you know, catering to leadership and executive level comforts, and what of, you know, like what could more and more of what could be trimmed, you know, what fat, quote unquote, could be trimmed off of the meat, so that the most of what is left is just profit, more and more of just profit than the things that may have been at an extra expense, but that made all the difference in the overall quality of the product from the inside out and the outside in, you know. So here we are now, years later, now seeing the effects of those cuts, you know. So anyway, so we got the Five of Swords, King of Cups, the Ace of Cups. So the Five of Swords, this is definitely some type of competitive energy, maybe even energy of, you know, kind of plotting a little bit. What is this about? And then the King of Cups. So this could even, again, the proactivity of, this could even be layoffs. That's what I just felt with the Five of Swords. And how like a lot of companies are behind the scenes are doing things for the sake of keeping this assembly line going that are quite hurtful to the employees, and as I said, also to the customer on both sides. And in some ways it's like, well, there is no choice, because you know they want to maintain those profits that they've been used to acquiring, you know, and maintain those salaries that they've been used to making from the top down. So casualties are being created, usually somewhere in between the middleman, the employee, again, the one that's actually contributing the greatest value really to production, is who's taking the hit. That's what that is, the Five of Swords. So here is the position here at the King of Cups, which is the contemplation of leading with more compassion and more of a spiritual insistence and intention than simply, you know, that being infused within the professional, a professional perspective, you know, or a professional agenda or something, so to speak, something like that. Because the King of Cups is definitely, you know, more emotional, more, you know, compassionate, nurturing, all the things that might be frowned upon or may even be resisted of leadership, you know, to be more objective, to be more direct, you know, to almost kind of turn off the emotionality for the sake of doing business, you know. But here it feels like Spirit is calling for a turn up in that regard, and perhaps just because there's been such a deficit at this point, that maybe there needs to be a bit of an oversaturation for a while until there's some balance reestablished with the Ace of Cups here. So it's exact right up under the High Priestess, like this is what someone may have to offer. You know, it's a special ingredient, a special sauce, a special anointing that only some, like literally a special set of skills that are rare and exclusive that you may possess, and that there may be an opening for. Wow, with the Ten of Cups, and what's that, the Three of Swords? Yeah, because this is a lot of what's going on behind the scenes here with business in general, and and corporations and work life, where people are just trying to put their heads down and work as they feel they need to, certainly not because they actually want to be there a lot of times, and still not finding a sense of security for their investment of time and energy and sacrifice and skill and talent and so on and so forth. Again, in some ways, because there's kind of a force of the hand to have to cut back in some ways, from the perspective that those that are profit driven are looking at it from, but there may be another way. Because if you can change the energetic makeup of a company, you might not have to change much different from how many people you keep employed, what you actually, you know, what the intention of production actually is, and profit. You may actually advance I would actually say with the Ten of Pentacles, this is the prospect here to actually advance profits in a way that doesn't even really make sense, but it makes all the dollars. And ultimately, if you can prove yourself to add value in an energetic or in a spiritual sense that can do that, that will secure a position for sure. like to literally show someone what voids they may have in their operations that could be scarce or attracting depreciation. And this is all from a divine perspective, more or less, that you're seeing it, you know, but how you convey it and communicate it could be different. But if you can express that, first of all, identify it and then express it with solutions, and it actually be proven to advance a company or advance someone's business, their creativity, their progress, like it, again, on a small scale, large scale, whatever it is, oh man, you be set for life. And it's almost like you'd never work a day in your life, because this, again, generally would be something that you damn near do for free for a stranger on the street, except it does have value and you deserve to be well compensated for it. Imagine that, yo. Imagine. All right, 2 more, and I won't bore you anymore, because this clearly is not for everybody, right? But it's for somebody. Damn, I forgot to look at what card that was at the bottom. Or did I? I don't remember. Oh, I did. It was the 10 of Pentacles, and now it's the 10 of Cups. Oh my goodness. And you know what? Right up under this, I'm just sensing that some folks are just gonna miss out. You know, like some people don't see the advantage or the benefit of such an investment, whether it be in their business or in their operation, or of themselves to be of value in that way. Like I said, you know what I mean? It literally could be someone resisting that aspect of themselves because they feel weird about it, or they feel like that it's going to be laughed at or rejected, or it just, you know, it's not marketable. But this is the energy here of regret. And it also does speak to insecurity as well, you know, of those that don't believe in themselves to be so qualified, or of those that just aren't, like straight up and down. Like some people, like I said, you definitely, it's not a fake it till you make it type of situation. You can't act like you're, you know, like you have that skill, like lying on your resume, and think that you could finesse your way through it, and not in this frequency, because there's going to need to be a track record of proven results for the company that is taking the chance, or investing in you, or paying you, whatever the case may be. There would need to be some track of some projection of results and some realization of those in order for you to solidify your value, because at the end of the day, a business is still looking to make money, you know. So this is not for the phonies and the frauds to, you know, you could try it if you want to try to, you know, doctor up a resume and start marketing and shuffling yourself around as some spiritual consultant, and it won't take long for you to be fired. Like, you know, there's a certain organic frequency that comes with those that are actually ordained for such work, whether it be exclusively in the spiritual realm, or in, you know, in a spiritual function, or crossing over from that spiritual function into a practical one. There still is an authentic charge and frequency that cannot be falsified. And not only, and once you what you actually get to bring is not only just the 10 of Pentacles, when you're doing this in, you know, when you're in your lane and in the proper, you know, like when you're in the right profession, you know what I mean? Like you're in the right industry, so to speak, with whatever you do, you bring to that table not just an increase in profits in a material sense, but this is happiness. Like, you have the ability to infuse others with a heightened sense of fulfillment that they couldn't buy working their fingers to the bone and crunching all the numbers and making hella cuts and layoffs and decreasing the product and increasing the price, and all of those things that seem to be a means to a productive end that really cause more stress on the person, because it's only a matter of time before people just get frustrated on the inside out or outside in and don't want nothing to do with you. So this is bringing a sense of contentment and fulfillment from the top down, and however it is well received, that, like I said, is invaluable. There is no price on the 10 of Cups. It's unlimited, and it could also be eternal if you're truly lucky, So yeah, like, this is what you have to offer. This is literally what you bring to the table as a spiritual worker in a practical world. And I'm saying it as, literally taking your mystical gifts and filling a role in a company with those qualifications. But it could look different. It could look different, just take it how it is, how I'm saying it, figuratively, and let it apply how it does, because whatever it is you do, the point is that it may be taboo for an industry. It may seem to be taboo comparative to the industry that actually does need it, So there's a great value for your skill sets in places that you may not have even shopped them around, but and also that may not even know that you're exactly what they need. All right, one more. You heard that horn of confirmation. And here is the community work here, the Six of Pentacles. This is the sharing aspect, what you have to offer. That is balanced, that is advancing, enhancing, like literally you bringing your energy, your time, your information, your testimony, your insight, your direction, your foresight to those that are just like almost desperate for it here with the Six of Pentacles. Now, I would say as a word of caution, to be mindful, because everybody that is desperate and got their hand out is not well aligned to receive. So there is the biggest, even with the Two of Pentacles here, there is the biggest cause for pause, considering in the deepest of discernment, King of Cups and Ace of Cups, what is a good investment for you? What is a great position for you to fill? What company can you truly make a difference in and add value to, that wouldn't just be soaking up your energy, transmuting it for their own benefit and profit, but not really looking to sustain the recommendations for a greater good. And it will probably be a lot more of that out there than there are ones that actually truly want to make a difference and make a change. So there lies the challenge for anyone, or just to be mindful, to keep your discernment, allow your discernment to, guide the way, because maybe you might connect with an opportunity that seems like it would be something fruitful for all, and ultimately realize, like, man, these people don't really want to do nothing real. Like, they're just vampirizing my energy, or they just want to try something different and new, like throwing spaghetti on the wall hoping that it sticks, but ultimately, like, they don't really want to sustain the essence of what you are offering. And that could have a blowback on you if you stay too long, you know what I mean? Or you you entangle your good energy in companies that could tarnish that, just by absorbing all that you have to offer, and really, and certainly if they're not willing to reciprocate or replenish what you're offering. But sometimes even what they think, or even what's established as a fair exchange or even a generous exchange isn't worth the value if, like I said, you're not sensing that it's working for the greatest good of all. And you'll know exactly what that looks like, more importantly what that feels like, the moment you stop not feeling good about offering your services or exchanging with your peers or with whomever you're in collaboration or in business with. And that is the moment when you must maintain sheer devotion to your own personal integrity to say, like, okay, this is my time to go, like, thank you, my services are no longer needed, like almost fire yourself, even if the money is amazing, but always keeping your integrity and your highest, the security of your spiritual supremacy as a priority. You know what I mean? No matter what. And that's how you protect yourself. So like I said, you can't help what people do with what you offer, as long as you're offering the best of what you have in excellence and truth and integrity. But you can control how you maneuver the moment is clear to you that there is some void in appreciation or righteous reception. All right, so that's just a little side note. It must truly be equal and balanced for all, even if, of course, because I mean, even at this point, say you're the man with the scales in your hand and get in the company or the ones that are in need, or, they need what you have. There also is, the exchange of compensation, which would flip flop, those energies, maybe not holistically any more than the company actually is needy or you are, exalted above them. But on the flip side of it, they can offer compensation and in the form of even appreciation and recognition for the value that you have to offer, which can pay it to you in dividends for your own confidence, security, and self-esteem, and even how you apply yourself in other positions elsewhere. So it can be balanced no matter who's on the receiving or giving end, as long as there is a two-way street. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's see what's on the bottom. Wow, the Empress, boss lady, yes. Wow, let's see what's on the bottom. The Knight of Cups. I'm gonna put this here because I feel like it's going more this way. Yeah, so this is what I was saying, like maintaining this position of power and authority no matter what, and discerning what offers are acceptable, no matter who they're coming from, what the intention is, what the motivation is, what's in that cup, how good it may make you feel. Like, if it's not pure, the essence of that Knight of Cups, you already are operating from the source of the Ace of Cups and the authority of the King of Cups and the frequency of the High Priestess. That's hella cup energy of a much more advanced level than, say, the Knight of Cups. But it doesn't mean you might not be open to the consideration, again, of a dynamic that may be in some ways, imbalanced, at least initially. But eventually, this would have to make sense. This would have had to have graduated to a King of Cups at some point where, like, you want to see the evidence of you would want to see the evidence of your investment, you know, like the interest of your investment, so to speak, in whatever, you know, way that gets to be. And like I said, more so in the receptivity and the application of what you have to offer, and it being sustainable for a greater cause, not just for a quick fix and a quick turnaround, you know, but actually something that is implemented as a changed way of a changed practice of productivity for whomever and whatever and however you serve. So it couldn't be acceptable to just stay at the knight, not given to an empress. The queen, maybe we could be thoughtful about that, but the Knight of Cups would have to evolve to match this empress energy before, you know, it could be a consideration to sustain something for the long run, which is why I feel like this is really speaking again more to you positioning yourself to being a consultant of sorts, because you could, you know, and even if it was like this could be you being a boss, BITCH, but positioning yourself to be mobile, you know, to be able to move around, to offer your cup, your energy, your expertise in many different places, you know, without restriction or containment. That I could take it that way too, but certainly I feel like there's definitely more to say about how you feel treated and you know, appreciated, and not necessarily like, you know, throwing me, you know, a party, you know what I mean? Like, not like that, but how it is that you feel like what you're offering is valued based on how it's applied, is how that gets to materialize from just, you know, a nice notion, or again, like just a neediness and absorption to something that is, I don't know, like it's worth your time and energy. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. I'm always like, you know what I mean? You know, like you're going to be able to respond. Maybe one day we will have a live dialogue in some way, shape, or form. But anyway, that's where I'm at with it. And I really feel like it's more of this than what I said. It's that too, you know, being able to kind of like be free and liberated to move around as you feel guided, for sure, and like just take your talents on the road. Why don't you, if you feel moved to? But certainly this speaks to an imbalance in energies here with the Knight to the Empress. Just don't take nothing, especially here up under the High Priestess and the Ace of Cups. You are well within your rights to establish a high standard. Like, you don't, this is not charity. You are well within your rights to establish a high standard, to maintain, you know, a high expectation for work conditions, for an exchange, for, you know, your non-negotiables, like whatever it is that we're talking about here, you know, contractually speaking. The Empress has full range to set her terms high with no apologies, and those terms can either be met or not, and that's okay. No love lost, literally no love lost, because the Empress and the High Priestess in this regard, and the King of Cups and that energy has plenty of love to give and so much more to gain, that there literally is no sweat off the brow of where you may be a perfect fit and where you may not be. And this could even be relationally, now that I'm thinking about it, like literally what you bring to the table, you know, in this frequency, aside from it being professional, consider, like, turn all that into romantic or intimate, and it has the same resonance if you really get into it. So I'll leave that to you if you feel like it. But I feel like there was a strong emphasis on professionalism, especially at how I went in. There's something there, there's definitely something there in that regard. So we shall see how it gets to unfold. All right. In any event, thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.